So Jacqueline, what were your goals and your biggest obstacles?
Sure. So right now I am looking for my next career home. I'm specifically looking to find my next role as a VP of sales at an early stage tech company. And I really want to find a company with a team that I enjoy working with. And I've got like a list of my must-have attributes for what I hope that looks like. But that's my #1 goal right now for the immediate future.
Amazing. And what's your biggest obstacle?
So there's two things. One is imposter syndrome, and it usually comes through after conversations I have and after interviews. I get in my head and overthink what happened, but going into it and during it, I'm fine. So I want to work on that. And then the second thing is I'm weary about finding a company with the right boss. I don't want to find myself in a situation where the CEO or whoever my boss is not as supportive of sales teams as some people can be. So I'm like very weary and worried about that as well.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. And so what assumptions have you got about those obstacles, about the imposter syndrome and the not supportive boss?
Sure. So for imposter syndrome, it's all about what if I don't compare to the other candidates they're speaking with. I will ask at the end of interviews, how do I compare to other people? What have you found in other candidates that you're worried that I might be missing? And then I replay those and sometimes make those stories a reality. And then the other side for the boss portion is if I find someone that I really like, I worry, what is it that they're not saying? Or if I find someone that may seem a little bit tougher and more difficult, I worry that they won't be supportive once I get into the role.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. And I'm hearing a lot of second guessing going on here. You know, what ifs? What if I don't compare? What if they're not as trustworthy as I thought? Okay, so with the imposter syndrome and this feeling of I don't compare, what beliefs must you be having about yourself around that?
So I have typically less experience than other colleagues I've worked with that are on the management team. And in prior positions, that's always been something that's come up, where either people have actually flat out asked me my age, or they have asked a question to the room at large. And then if I give an answer, they'll like joke and say, well, that's great, Jacqueline, but what does so-and-so have to say? You have more experience in this space. And so I worry that because I haven't had the opportunity to prove myself with direct experience, that other people are making those assumptions based off of just other conversations that have happened in the past.
Okay. Would you be willing to do a little exercise here where we look at those assumptions and we validate?
Sure.
So let's actually break that down and articulate it. So for example, one of them is, I believe that I'm being judged, or I believe that I don't have the experience, or I don't have the direct experience to be chosen, or whatever it is. Articulate what that belief is that's blocking you in one sentence.
Sure. I believe that I don't have the years of experience for some of the VPs of sales roles that I am applying for.
Okay. And then the other one, which was age, is that a separate thing, or does it come under, would you say?
I think it comes under.
Okay. And is there anything else within that imposter syndrome? Any assumptions that you've got there?
I would say another one would be just a finance background. So I believe that I don't have as strong of a finance background as I would actually like. And that's one thing that I think gets in my own head more so than what other people have said, at least that I've heard.
Okay. And then if you extrapolate both of those down, I'm hearing an underlying assumption beneath those beliefs, which says age and experience within finance is important to do this job well. Or is being
correct.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's have a look at that. How many people do you know who are VPs of sales? Who
A good amount.
aren't young? Say again?
Who aren't young?
Who are young?
Who are young? A handful, yeah.
And do they have the experience?
Not a number of years, but in on-the-job roles, absolutely.
And what do they bring to the job?
I would say curiosity is one quality that's pretty constant. I think it's important to be curious in order to solve problems, because regardless of how many years of experience you have, that's something that you need to always be open to. Other things I've seen are they are very unafraid to ask for help, and humble. And then just personable, human themselves, comfortable with who they are.
Yeah. Okay, I'm hearing curious, humble, unafraid. Do they have to know everything?
Nope.
Okay. And what assumptions are you making about the people who are interviewing you?
So I find that when it's someone that's interviewing me and I ask them what they're looking for, the moment that they say someone that has worked with several startups and has taken them to an exit, that's one of the most important things. When I hear that type of phrase where someone specifically calls out experience and like multiple startups and lists off more than I've done, that's where I start to internalize that statement or those types of statements.
Okay. And when you internalize it, what's that script say? What are the words?
I don't have enough experience for this job, or I may have enough experience and I likely will be able to do this job well, but this person is already betting against me.
And therefore?
And therefore, they probably won't give me a chance and I won't be hired.
Okay. So that's the assumption about them.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to give you a chance and that they're judging you and you won't be hired.
Correct.
And so your brain will hear that.
Yep.
And it will take you at its word. Okay. So then let's look at that. And if I read back these assumptions to you, right, I want you to look at it really, really from a critical point of view. Are these absolute, right? Do you need to have years of age and years of financial experience to be a great VP of sales?
No.
Do you need to have years of age and lots of financial experience for people to take a chance on you?
Nope.
Why is that?
Because I think that going back to, regardless of how many years of experience you have, that doesn't necessarily mean that somebody is open to learning that new business. Every business is different. Every business, especially startups, they change every single hour or minute. So if you have someone that has many years of experience, and because of that experience, they have a lot of confidence in their ways and are not open to new ways, that individual may not be the right fit. You could have someone that has years of experience and is the right fit, but I think it just depends on the individual and more so the key traits of what that company is looking for. They don't necessarily go hand in hand.
And what would that company be looking for? If you're looking at a company that you want to work with and you're selecting them to give your time, attention, and genius to, what is it that you can offer them?
What I can offer them is I lead very strongly with people first. I firmly believe that it is crucial to figure out the type of person that would be the most successful working with that ideal buyer. And then once you figure that out, I really pride myself in building scalable sales playbooks that are repeatable and therefore can drive reliable revenue.
Okay. So I'm hearing that you're great with people. I'm hearing that you're great with people and that you have the systems and process to scale, to ramp up scale and target for success. So knowing what you know about yourself and how good you are with people, how can you apply that to the person, to that boss that you're wary of, that hypothetical boss that you're wary of?
Like during the interview process, you mean, or just in general working with them?
In general. You're great at knowing
Yeah.
people, but at the same time you're making these assumptions. Where's the difference?
Sure. So I've had really fantastic bosses in the past, but I've heard a lot of horror stories from people about basically a bait and switch moment. And I have a mentor of mine that just experienced a situation where he came onto a company and they actually fired his CEO and a new boss came in. So I think my challenge is just being scared of making the wrong choice, either knowingly or unknowingly have factors that are out of my control. And I need to focus more so on trusting my gut and saying, hey, if I do end up in a situation where that individual isn't who I thought they were during the interview process, or where leadership has changed and it's out of our control, I need to then at that point worry instead of worrying before it happens. So I think that's probably more so the direction, instead of worrying that I'm being presented something that is not true.
Great. Thank you so much, Jacqueline.
No, thank you. That's like super helpful to go through all those questions. Light bulb just went off.
Trust your gut. Perfect. Does anybody else want to share?
I can go.
Great.
I would say my situation is very similar to Jacqueline's. I'm also looking for a new job. However, I feel that I have too many years of work experience and that age is against me when I'm going through interviews. And I came from a very toxic situation in my last job where I reported to someone that had less qualifications than me and felt very threatened by my experience and didn't give me the opportunity to help her. So I don't want to run into that situation again. And I'm also doing a lot of second guessing of myself. Again, I think it comes back to what does that person think of me when they're interviewing? Do I have too much experience? Am I too old for this company? And I second guess myself, you know, is this manager that I may be working for going to be the same as my last manager?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing, Rachel. And I think it's amazing that there's a synchronicity between what Jacqueline's experiencing and what you're experiencing, and it's two sides of the same coin. So, Rachel, I didn't realize that you could be too old or to have too much experience in sales. That's completely new to me. Tell me what your assumption, because in that case, you know, I'm screwed.
I'm actually a sales recruiter.
Okay.
So I hire salespeople. I have over 25 years of recruiting experience for sales and engineering and pretty much any kind of position you could think of. I was in a team lead role at my last company and really enjoyed it. And then unfortunately, this new person came in and kind of put the kibosh on that. So it's a lot of second guessing since I lost my job, and a little bit of anger as to what happened. So I'm just trying to get through that anger and the second guessing.
Okay. Rachel, what I've got an instinct here that you are really good at one thing within your job, that you've got like this superpower here going on.
I do.
What is that?
It's relationship building and building trust with people.
Okay, talk to me about trust.
Trust, I don't tell secrets. I keep things to myself. In the work environment, people trust me, they confide in me. And in terms of relationship building, people keep in touch with me years after I've left a job. They reach out to me to help them find a job if they've lost theirs. And that's how I would be viewed. And then I'm a very hard worker. I mean, I was working 13-hour days at my last job. So I think dedicated, relationship builder, and trustworthy.
Okay. So I'm hearing this amazing connection that you have with people, this relationships, and I'm hearing the fact that they trust you. But within that connection, any energy exchange, it goes both ways.
Yeah, I think it goes both ways. I think when people trust me, I feel very flattered. But on the other hand, I sometimes have a little self-doubt as to why these people are trusting me so much.
Are you able to trust people?
I am.
You are, okay.
Now, I'm a little hesitant now about managers after what happened to me, so that's something that I need to improve on.
Okay. So what assumptions are you making as you go and find your new home for your job role? I love that expression, Jacqueline. Yeah.
I'm assuming that when people interview me that they're going to say, wow, she has a lot of experience. She's worked for a lot of proven companies. Can we afford her? And will she get to the point in a recruiter role where she'll want to be a manager? And if she does, would we be able to hire her as a manager, or would we need to let her go so she could go to another company that would give her more growth opportunity?
So if we put that into like a problem statement, I'm hearing something along the lines of she's too expensive.
Yeah.
Too experienced.
Yeah.
Okay. And can these people afford not to hire you?
Some companies can, some companies can't. It just really depends.
What do you bring with them that is an absolute bargain for whatever price they offer?
I've led a team. I recruited for a lot of positions. I get the job done. I get it done quickly. I have a proven success rate, and I'm always willing to learn something new.
Amazing. And what assumptions are you making about the situation?
My overall situation right now?
About the situation with them and the companies that you're applying for?
That they're interviewing a lot of people, and that they may choose someone that is younger and maybe someone that's a little more trainable than me, and someone that's a little less expensive for salary.
Okay. So what are your beliefs about your own trainability?
I'm very easy to train, and I've trained others. I've proven that I can be trained and train other people, so I'm a quick learner, and I'd save my companies a lot of money by learning quickly.
So I'm hearing the response on the financial side. You know, there's this, I learn fast, I can help you train, I'm easily trainable. In what ways can you actually transform their business? If you were to think big,
I'm sorry?
if you were to think big and just don't be another applicant and you were to think about blowing their socks off and talk on a transformational level about their business, what are you bringing?
I'm bringing a wealth of knowledge that a lot of recruiters don't have yet. I started from the ground up. I've worked my way up. I've saved companies a lot of money from cost-effective piece in terms of implementing programs or implementing shortcuts to help improve their efficiency. So that's what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah. What's coming up for you now as you're saying this?
I feel really stressed right now. And I do have interviews lined up, which is great. I have 4 interviews with different companies. And I feel stressed.
I
don't want to settle either for a role that is not at my level.
Do you mind if I share an observation?
Sure.
I'm picking up on a level of threat. Like you're assuming they'll be threatened by you and your experience and your the money. And I feel that you're also being threatened by them.
Right.
If you were to undo that, what would be possible?
I think I'd like to have a more collaborative work situation with my next manager. I just have a really bad taste in my mouth from my previous situation. And I'd like to put my former manager in the past and not think about her when I'm interviewing, and remember what I was like before she was my manager and how successful I was and how confident I was prior to her starting.
You know a lot about people, right? People come and tell you their stories, and you're good at reading people. It's essential at what you do. So if you were to sort of take away all emotions about your old manager, and you were to notice compassionately an observation about her that's not toxic, that's not angry, that allows you to sort of look dispassionately at the situation, get where she's coming from, and use that to help you in this next cycle, what would that be?
I think she would probably say Rachel needed to feel a little less threatened by me, and she needed to be a little more vulnerable and be more of an open communicator with me. And ask her for help.
Okay. And what does that bring up for you as you say that?
It brings up anger because I did ask her for help, and she called me out on it with our VP, so that shut the door on me being able to trust her. And it made me a little more withdrawn because I didn't want to communicate with her if she was going to throw me under the bus all the time.
And what can you understand about her psychology with wanting to throw you under the bus? What was she trying to protect? What was she doing it for?
I think she was trying to protect herself. She had recently started her role. I had done her role on a temporary basis before she started. And I think she wanted to prove herself to the VP. And I think she maybe found some weak people and liked to expose them to make herself feel stronger.
It's interesting that you say weak people, because there's an assumption in that. What's the assumption that you're actually not saying?
The assumption is, I think she thought that I wasn't aggressive enough with her And in fact, I'm a very assertive person. I mean, I hire salespeople. You have to be assertive. So she always said, oh, you're too nice. And, you know, I don't know if you're going to make it. You need to be a little more aggressive. Now, my previous manager before her said, you're awesome. I'm giving you a promotion. You're assertive. You're aggressive. You're learning. You know, you're open with me. So that's why I felt weak, because she really brought me down to a lower level.
So I'm hearing within that she has a belief, this toxic belief that is spreading, that being vulnerable or being open and kind is weakness.
Yeah, and I felt that she used some of that vulnerability against me.
Well, let's just call that into account, because would you say that's true? Would you say people who are vulnerable, people who ask for help, people who are open-hearted and trusting, would you say that they are weak?
No, I don't believe that they're weak.
I mean, I
just
find
because they're maybe a little more quiet and not, you know, the social butterflies. I think quiet people can be just as strong as people that are more social, if not stronger.
Right. So in that case, would you say that you are weak?
No, not after talking about it. I don't feel as weak as I did at the beginning of this.
And what can you offer her as an observation to herself, as a compassionate, see ya, I offer you this gift as an observation, and just put it out into the universe, hoping it will reach her one day as an aha breakthrough for herself and her poor insecurities?
I'd say to her, you should have given me a chance. I was more than happy to help you and provide you a wealth of knowledge that you could have used to your advantage. And you chose not to do that. And instead you degraded me to make yourself look better.
Yeah.
And I am a strong person. I get the job done. And I wouldn't have been at a company for 5 years if I didn't do a good job. And I'm a good recruiter.
And what would you tell her about trust? Or what's your key outcome on trust on this?
I think you always have to be a little careful who you tell things to. But I think as a manager, you need to be there to listen to someone and to communicate. And you have to be able to trust other people as well. And you can't use people's vulnerabilities against them. You need to help them improve those vulnerabilities.
And in what way is you being you a gift in this situation?
The gift is that I know I'll get a better job, and that I hope someday that I can be in a similar position to her, or a better position than she's currently in, and can show, hey, Rachel is awesome. She's good. She gets the job done. People like her. Let's promote her. Let's keep her.
It's inevitable.
Right.
Right? Amazing. Thank you, Rachel.
So this is definitely helping with my anger, so to speak. So thanks everybody for listening.
Yeah, thanks for holding the space.